Good afternoon, students of Chinese YMCA Secondary School. We are now going to play you the news clip from yesterday.
Good evening. The government will put forward a motion debate at the Legislative Council October 25th on implementing a joint checkpoint for the express rail to Guangzhou. Chief Executive says after the debate, the government will press ahead with the procedures needed to implement the arrangement. Anne-Marie Sim reports.
With the high-speed rail link to the mainland set to come into service in the third quarter of next year, time is running out to implement the co-location of customs, immigration and quarantine facilities at its West Kowloon terminus. The CE told reporters ahead of today's Executive Council meeting that the issue will be brought before lawmakers on October the 25th in the form of a non-binding motion by the government.
The reason why we suggest we will put forward a non-binding government motion is really to provide an opportunity for Legislative Council members who have heard so much about this subject from the people of Hong Kong to debate on the merits of the co-location arrangement.
Because the motion will be non-binding, the government has no obligation to follow up on its approval. Lam noted that after the debate, the government would start on the three-step process to implement the arrangement.
The first step requires a comprehensive agreement between Hong Kong, SAR government and the relevant authorities in the mainland. And with this cooperation arrangement being agreed, then we will seek the agreement and approval of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, probably through a resolution. And after this has been done, we'll come back to do local legislation. So without that first two steps being conducted, it's a bit premature to rush into domestic legislation.
Lam stressed that last step of enacting it through local legislation must be completed before next year's summer recess, so the rail line could start operating in the third quarter. She added that surveys showed more than half of Hong Kongers support co-location, as they don't think it violates one country, two systems and the Basic Law. The plan would see about a quarter of the West Kowloon terminus leased to the mainland to ensure faster immigration processing by mainland officers. Hong Kong effectively giving up jurisdiction there doesn't sit well with those opposed to the plan. The Civic Party's Tanya Chan, who is also convener of a co-location concern group, said her party would oppose the motion. She also called out the surveys mentioned by Lam as flawed, since respondents weren't given alternative options. The Democratic Party also plans to vote against the motion. Party chairman Wu Chi-wai accused the government of using the motion as a way to bulldoze the co-location proposal through, without giving the public the chance to discuss alternatives. Still, the motion looks likely to pass, as the pro-establishment camp, which supports the arrangement, holds a majority. Anne-Marie Sim, TVB News.
Turning overseas, we're learning more about the suspect behind what is now considered the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. Stephen Paddock had 23 guns in his Las Vegas hotel room that he used to slaughter people at a concert across the street. The death toll has now risen to 59 and more than 500 people are injured.
More video emerged of what turned out to be the concert from hell. Authorities say Stephen Paddock broke 2 windows of his adjoining suites at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. From the 32nd floor, he had the perfect vantage point to unleash a hail of gunfire on concertgoers below. He fired for 10 minutes before police hunted him down.
Upstairs, Mandalay Bay, halfway up. I see the shots coming from Mandalay Bay. Halfway up.
Once the SWAT team knocked down the door, Paddock had already shot and killed himself.
Breach. That's affirmative. One suspect down in 135, 432 Mandalay Bay.
Detectives are combing through evidence to uncover the motive behind the shooting and any other pertinent information that will help shed light on this horrible event. We have recovered 23 firearms at Mandalay Bay.
And Paddock had modified 2 guns to be fully automatic.
It's part of what's called a conversion kit. Those conversion kits are out there in society.
Even though the Islamic State militant group claimed responsibility, the FBI says so far Paddock had no connection to terrorist groups. A search of one of his homes reveals the 64-year-old had a penchant for guns.
In excess of 18 additional firearms, some explosives, and several thousand rounds of ammo.
This is a crazed lunatic full of hate.
But Paddock's brother couldn't believe Stephen had carried out the murderous rampage.
It doesn't make any sense that he killed those people. He has no history of violence in any way, shape, or form.
He claims his brother is a multi-millionaire who was into real estate deals and playing high-limit video poker. While Paddock appeared to have no criminal history, his father was a bank robber who was on the FBI's most wanted list in the 1960s. President Trump held a moment of silence outside the White House before encouraging his grief-stricken nation to unite.
Our unity cannot be shattered by evil. Our bonds cannot be broken by violence. And though we feel such great anger at the senseless murder of our fellow citizens, it is our love that defines us today. And may God provide the grieving families with strength to carry on.
The Hong Kong Immigration Department says it has not received any requests for assistance from Hong Kong people in Las Vegas. The Travel Industry Council also confirmed there were no Hong Kong tour groups in Las Vegas yesterday. But Hong Kong pop star Leo Koo and his wife experienced the horrific moment, even though they were in a hotel that's quite a distance away from the scene of the shooting. They said people were screaming and scrambling for cover. The couple hid under a casino table. They later went to a stairwell where they met a South Korean family. Upon the request of the Koos, whose hotel room was in another building, the family took them upstairs for safety reasons. The couple eventually made their way back to their hotel 6 hours later.
Meanwhile, those against guns in America used the tragedy to renew their fight to pass stricter gun laws. The White House insists now's not the time to debate gun control. The press secretary shed tears while saying the country needs to grieve and unite. But the husband of one gun attack survivor argued otherwise.
Does anybody actually believe that our gun laws are too strong? Give me a break. Action to save lives is the only acceptable moral course for our country. Without action, we are asking one person to be the next person, to die because of our weakness to address evil.
The nation's counting on you.
Right. Militants fighting Indian rule in the disputed Kashmir attacked a paramilitary camp in the region's main city of Srinagar early today. 2 militants and border guards officer were killed, while 3 other officers were injured. Authorities tightened security in Srinagar following the attack. The security camp of India's border security forces shares a boundary wall with the city's airport. The attack disrupted flight operations for a while. Militants have targeted Kashmir police camps in recent months. They killed at least 8 Indian police officials in August when they attacked a security camp in southern Kashmir.